Introduction. Did you know that dopamine is often called the motivation molecule? While most people think dopamine is just about pleasure, it's actually what drives us to take action. Dopamine is a brain chemical directly linked to motivation, reward, and pleasure. But here's the catch. Relying too much on instant dopamine hits, like social media or sugary snacks, can actually lower your long-term motivation and productivity. In this video, we'll learn 6 ways to boost dopamine in a way that supports long-term happiness and productivity. But first, we need to address the ugly side of dopamine that most people don't realize: the dark truth of dopamine struggle. Just like a global pandemic, there's a dark truth slowly destroying our motivation and happiness. We've become brain zapped with dopamine fiends shamelessly hooked on cheap highs that leave us numb and hollow inside. It's now more important than ever to wake up and realize what's really going on. I'm talking about those lost hours where you're powerless to resist the lure of one more social media scroll. Maybe you've zoned out during a TV binge, blinking back to reality as the credits roll again, with no sense of time. Those fleeting hits of pleasure, they give you an insane dopamine rush that feels amazing in the moment, but then you crash hard, empty, foggy, and disappointed. Consistently spiking and crashing your dopamine levels like this seriously messes with your mental health over time. And that's a huge problem. If you keep chasing those unhealthy artificial highs, you're rewriting your brain to kill any chance at long-term success and fulfillment. If you're one of those listeners trapped in this unhealthy cycle, it's time to break free. It's totally possible, and I'm going to show you how right now, in 6 steps, starting with number 1. Avoid the trap of instant gratification. Think of the time when you've lost an hour scrolling through social media. Have you ever noticed how drained or unmotivated you feel afterwards? That's the dopamine crash at work. The problem with instant dopamine hits is that they're super short-lived. It feels good and doesn't last. In fact, it leaves you feeling kind of meh, and then you want another hit to feel good again. But here's the secret most people don't talk about. Not all dopamine boosts are created equal. So the first thing you need to understand is the difference between instant and sustainable dopamine. Quick, unhealthy dopamine hits are like fast food. They're easy and tempting, but leave you feeling sluggish afterwards. On the flip side, activities that give you a slower, more sustainable dopamine release are like a home-cooked meal. They take more effort up front, but the benefits last longer and actually nourish you. You see, instant dopamine hits from unhealthy habits are fleeting and lead you down the road of addiction. What you should do instead is focus on activities that provide a slow dopamine release. These are things like exercise, meditation, or learning a new skill. They may take more effort, but result in long-lasting dopamine boosts. Like hitting the gym. You won't feel amazing right away, like when you're watching a sitcom. You'll have to struggle a lot too. But afterward, your mood lifts and you feel good about yourself. That's the kind of dopamine you want more in your life. Talking about exercise, it leads us directly into my next point, which is boost dopamine naturally through movement. We've all heard it 1,000 times before. Exercise is great for your mental health. But did you know it's also a key weapon for boosting dopamine? The problem is, many people don't realize how important movement is when it comes to keeping those dopamine levels steady. If you spend most of your day sitting, you'll actually start to feel more tired, lazy. Research shows that a sedentary lifestyle can lower your dopamine levels, making it harder to feel energized or excited about things. Regular physical activity can give you a solid dopamine boost. Movement naturally triggers your brain to produce dopamine. So whether it's hitting the gym, trying out some yoga, or working in the garden, any kind of movement can help you feel better fast. The good news, you don't need to be a gym fanatic to get the benefits. You don't have to start with anything intense. Even a quick 10-minute walk outside can do wonders. Now let's dive into something that keeps you going for the long haul. Creating a reward system for long-term motivation. One of the biggest challenges with long-term goals is that they don't give you that immediate dopamine reward. Unlike instant hits from social media or sugar, long-term goals don't provide immediate satisfaction, making it harder to stay motivated. Here's how to hack your brain's dopamine system for long-term success. Set small milestones and reward yourself after completing each one. It could be something simple, like treating yourself to ice cream or taking a break to watch a new episode. These little rewards help keep your dopamine levels steady while working toward larger goals. Another great way to keep the dopamine flowing is by using habit tracking apps, or even just a simple checklist. Each time you check off a task or mark a day of progress, your brain gives you that "I did it" feeling. Plus, seeing your progress laid out visually is a huge motivator. Moving on to our next point, the role of nutrition in dopamine production. A lot of people don't realize that their diet directly affects their dopamine levels. If you're not eating the right foods, it can lead to feeling tired, unfocused, or even depressed. One of the best ways to naturally boost dopamine is by eating foods that are rich in tyrosine. Tyrosine is an amino acid your body uses to produce dopamine. You can find tyrosine in everyday foods like almonds, avocados, bananas, eggs, and even dark chocolate. On the flip side, it's important to watch out for foods high in sugar and processed fats. Sure, they might give you a quick dopamine hit, but they lead to long-term crashes that leave you feeling sluggish. Now let's talk about something fun. Trying new things. The power of novelty and learning. You know, one of the reasons we sometimes feel stuck or bored is because our brain gets used to the same old routines. When that happens, our dopamine levels start to drop, making us feel unmotivated and, well, kind of blah. Novelty, or doing something new, can wake up your brain and give you your dopamine boost. A simple way to keep your brain happy is by regularly introducing new experiences into your life. It doesn't have to be anything big. Maybe you just find a new hobby, meet new people, or go on a trek, or even just cook a recipe you've never tried before. Think of it as giving your poor brain a little adventure every now and then. Another way to keep your dopamine levels up is by challenging your mind with learning activities. You can try out brain-stimulating games or puzzles. Then there are language learning apps like Duolingo. Or perhaps you would like to dive into a book that's a little outside your comfort zone. Mental stimulation keeps your brain sharp and boosts dopamine in a naturally fun way. How are you liking the tips so far? Hang on, the last one might surprise you. Sleep and dopamine. Why rest matters. Surprising, isn't it? We often associate dopamine with excitement, pleasure, and reward, not with sleep. But sleep and dopamine are more connected than you think. Let's face it, sleep has become a forgotten luxury for so many of us. We're too caught up. There's that one last work project that just has to be finished before morning. There's that episode we need to catch up on. That game we just have to watch. We stay up texting, making sure we're connected, even though we're too exhausted to actually engage. We keep thinking we're too busy for sleep, but the truth is, we're slowly burning out. Listen, when you don't get enough rest, your brain starts to lose some of its dopamine receptors, making it harder to feel motivated or even experience pleasure. One way to sleep better is by prioritizing good sleep hygiene. Create a relaxing bedtime routine and stick to a consistent sleep schedule. Think of it as a recharge for your brain. When you get enough quality sleep, your dopamine levels stay in balance, and you wake up feeling more focused and energized. And here's the final challenge I'm throwing at you today. Avoid screens before bed. All that blue light from devices can disrupt your circadian rhythm and reduce your brain's ability to produce dopamine during sleep. Instead, try reading a book, doing some skincare, or something calming to wind you down before hitting the pillow. Conclusion. So that's how you boost your dopamine levels in a healthy way, sustainable way. Avoid instant gratification. Move your body. Set up reward systems. Eat healthy. Try out new stuff. And get enough sleep. But without discipline, you can't turn these dopamine boosting tips into lasting habits. So, make sure to check out our other video, How to Stay Disciplined. I'll see you there. Before you go, I want to hear from you. Which strategy has worked for you? Share your thoughts in the comments below.